Today's focus is one of the verses that we shared on the second week, and it's from 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. The books of Timothy were written by... Okay, if you know the answer, you shout. Books of Timothy were written by... Paul was one of the apostles in the Bible. One of the guys is an influencer in the Bible, and he went around discipling people, and then when he would disciple people, he would put them together and it would become a church. And so that's how they planted churches, and he kept on doing that. One of the places that he did that was in a place called Lystra, and then later on he came back, he found a guy, this guy Timothy, and Timothy became his apprentice, became one of the guys that he started going around planted churches with, discipling people, and then Paul, together with Timothy, they planted a church in a place called Ephesus. And so because Paul kept on going, he left Timothy to lead the church in Ephesus. I mean, Ephesus was an amazing, amazing church. It's a crazy church in that sense. I mean, one of these days, I hope we can just study that church and what they did and all that. Anyway, so it's when Timothy is leading this church that Paul is writing letters to him to encourage him. And that's why if you read through the books, he talks about elders. He's talking about the different roles that the church is to play. Why? Because he wanted Timothy to continue to be a good pastor to the church. And so one of the things he tells him is in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. And this is a verse that you need to know. It should be your memory verse. It should be a memory verse for you. And it says this. Let's read it together. In the presence of, entrust them to reliable people. All right, just keep the verse up for us. The things you've heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust them to reliable people who will be qualified to teach others. What I like about Paul's conviction is that he could also have told every other witness to do the same. And so all of a sudden his effectiveness is multiplied, not just in Timothy, but also among any other person that we could call a witness. It's like me saying, hey, Pastor Grace, everything that you've heard me teach, do the same. And then I tell Pastor Frank over there, and I tell my sister Faith over there, come on, Faith! Yeah, I have a sister in the congregation. I celebrate her for just being here. By the way, this will not help your salvation, but the reason... The reason why I come to Mavuno downtown is because of my sister. It's not a family business, let me just say. She used to go to Mavuno downtown when it was at Tintin. This is the power of discipleship. Pastor Kev, give me another mic. Anyway, I was in KU, and every week I would come to church. She would give me money to use for the next week. I mean, she didn't have money, but she would help me. And so every Sunday I would come, she'd give me money. I would come early, so people thought I wanted to be part of the setup team because it was cheaper to come to church on early, and then cheaper to go back later. So I would sit down as well. But she'd give me money to use in the week, and that's how I kept on coming to church. And we did Mizizi, we started doing Mizizi with the students at KU, and because of that, I'm here. I'm here. Come on, man. And the question is, are you paying someone's fare? Are you paying someone's fare? Are you inviting? That's all she did. And their lives that have been impacted for eternity because of that lady. She doesn't know, but that's the truth. Invite someone in. You don't know what you're doing for them and their children and their families. Anyway, how do I continue? Now, if you miss this sermon, you need to go. The second sermon is on our YouTube page. Go look at it. Amazing stuff. We talked about spiritual multiplication, how when I teach someone to do something, I expect them to do the same, and then I do it with other people and expect them to do the same, and God's effectiveness is multiplied. However, I want us to focus on just a couple of verses today. Actually, the first part of the verse, it says, and the things you have heard me say. That's the part I want us to focus on. And today, by the way, you guys are involved in this preaching today. So let me ask you, what do you think are some of the things that Paul meant when he said, and the things you've heard me say? Shout them out. What are those things that Paul may have mentioned? Wow, you can hear a snap. Yeah? Run the race, yeah? I'm not saying you say, it doesn't need to be a verse, but what are some of the things that Paul could have told Timothy as his apprentice? What are some of those things? So, run the race, keep at it, Timothy, don't give up. Husbands, love your wives. That's a man who needs a wife to hear that. Something else he could have told him. Be faithful. Sexual purity. Tell me something he would have told me. Continue. This side, Melipia. Okay, Ashes, pick the offering bag. Come to this side again. Okay, at the balcony, anything. What are some things that Paul could have told Timothy? Be courageous. Okay, let me help us here. Now, there are some things that we've said, but allow me to say this. Most of the things we've said happen within the context of a relationship. And as a disciple, by the way, today is more of a training. It's not a sermon. So don't expect a sermon, it's a training. As a disciple, there are three relationships that you have. There are three critical relationships that every one of us has as a disciple. The first one is your relationship with God. Assume they are in a triangle. Let's put a triangle. So there are three relationships. The top one at the very top is your up relationship, and that's your relationship with God. All right? Now, what are some things that you do that show you that you are enhancing or you are having a relationship with God? Prayer, good one. Okay, shout it one. Reading the word of God. Obeying. Someone in the balcony. Worship. Fasting. Serving. All right. Could we have two pastors sit on this side to help us? Now, some of the things that it's true. Some of the things that you help do that, enhance your relationship with God is what you've said. Worship, prayer, Bible study, communion, spiritual growth. And when you read the book of Timothy, it's true. There are some of those things Paul is saying them to Timothy. He says, I urge you that prayers, intercessions, thanksgivings be made. He says, I want men everywhere to lift holy hands in prayer. And all this is saying there's a relationship that we have to have with God. That's your up relationship. Now, there's a relationship that you have with other disciples, with other believers, with people within the church. We call that the in relationship. It's a relationship that we have with one another here in the church. Now, what are some of the things that we do that enhance our relationship with one another in church? Woo! Life group, thank you. Community time. Spread the love. Allow me to come back to that later, but another one? Things we do with one another here in church or in life group. What are some of those things we do? Share meals. I like that. Sorry? Encourage one another, it's true. And so those things we do with one another, you're not encouraging God in that sense, but you've had a relationship with God, and therefore you can come and encourage one another. Loving one another, serving one another, keeping each other accountable, bearing each other's burden, meeting each other's needs. It's a spread the love in that sense, but within the community of faith. And Paul tells Timothy a lot of that. He says, he says, encourage one another. He tells him, I want you to preserve the doctrine in a sense. One of the things you do with one another here is help each other to stay the course. And Paul is encouraging Timothy. Yes, there's an up relationship you're going to have with God, but then there's an in relationship with fellow believers. And then there's the out relationship that you have with the world. It's one of, Jesus says, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he came. And God wants us not just to have a relationship with him and with other believers in the church, but he wants us to take it out there and to reach other people who are not part of the church. What are some things that we do that enhance us going to people out there? People in the balcony. Spread the love. That's a good one. Missions. Evangelism. Okay, this side. Any. And so there are some things we do with God in church and out of church. And some of those things could be loving unbelievers. That could be sharing the gospel in evangelism, serving the poor and needy, serving our community, what we generally call as a church, spread the love. And Paul does tell Timothy that. And so as a disciple, you need to be growing in your relationship with God, to be growing in your relationship with people within the church, but then together with all that, you need to be growing in extending the kingdom to the world in that sense. When you read about Jesus, he held these three relationships. He had the up relationship. Now this is becoming very hard for me as a cow. He had the hub relationship. And it's good because the harp is here. So up. Anyway, and we see Jesus going up the mountain. We see Jesus spending time with God. There are times when the Bible says Jesus left the crowd and went to be with the Lord to pray and fast. And Jesus did, have a very tight time with God. But then you see Jesus coming from, having this relationship with God and then coming and having this relationship with disciples. And they would eat together. And he would visit them in their homes. And they would enjoy their company in that sense. We see at some point he's in Martha's house. We see at some point he's coming to console Mary and Martha because their brother Lazarus is dead. And he did have that time. But then not only that, he had a very good out relationship as well. And many times we'll see him saying, hey, I've preached here, I need to go to other places as well. He'd go to places, he'd heal the sick, he'd cast out demons, he'd do good work with people out there. And not only did he do that, he also encouraged his disciples to do it. In fact, at some point he tells them, carry no bag, no food, no nothing, no extra coat, just your stuff, just your, like your walking stick. Go and proclaim the gospel. And he really believed that, and he called the people towards that. Now, here's what I want us to do. When you're walking with people, when in this conversation that we'll be talking about discipleship, you need to be ensuring that your people are growing in their up relationship with who? And then in their in relationship with other believers, and then in their out relationship with the world. So as you are walking, some of you are wondering, so what do we talk about? What do we do? The idea is to consistently figure out where are the people as we walk together. Now it could get to a place where it gets quote unquote spiri and you realize we are just living for ourselves, but no one is actually thinking about other believers in the church. And so you challenge them and say, guys, we all need to serve in our church. We all, because serving is one of the places that exposes you to other believers. So guys, we need to take people through Mizizi in this season. But maybe you're having an amazing relationship with God, people are serving in church and all that, and then you realize no one is thinking about the lost. And so you say, guys, we need to find a way to share our faith. Guys, we need to go and visit a children's home. That makes sense? And so you're always helping people to grow. Or maybe they're doing very well in church, very well in out, but you just sense that people are not having a quiet time with God. They're not bonding with God. They're not creating time to be with God. And so you say, guys, we need to do something that can help us to grow in our relationship with God. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to ask the guest experience team to distribute some papers that they have, and it's very simple. The paper looks like this. It will look like this scaled triangle over here. It has, up. Distribute the papers kindly, just so that you do it quickly. It will have the up, in, and out. Now, on each of the vertices, KU students, vertices are the corners. Each of the vertices, there is a 10, all right? And then the center is 0. And then there's a line at the middle, which is 5. I want you to do this. I want you to rate yourself. So you're going to get a paper. If you have a pen or a pencil, you can share. I think the guys have some, but they're not enough. So you can share and do it quickly. I want you to rate yourself. Between 0 to 10, where are you? All right? Some of you are saying we need a bigger scale. But between 0 and 10, where are you there? Now, you cannot be a 5. So you're either hot or cold, you're either up or down, and it doesn't matter where you are right now. It's just you rating yourself. So in up, 0 to 10, where are you? Again, 0 is at the center, 10 is at the top of the, just near up. And then in, 0 is at the center, in is at the vertex there. So again, in, when you think about things that we do in church, serving one another, being in a life group and all that, where are you? So 0 to 10 in each of them. You cannot be a 5 in any of them. I want to give you a minute. So just think through your life. Where are you? In up, where are you? Is it, 2? And part of it is, I have room for growth. I could be, yes, spending time in prayer, but I know I can do more. I can do more quiet time. And so you don't need, it's not a competition. It's just an authentic evaluation of where you are. Or you can put a mark and then write a number. That would be good for you. So if it's just above 5, you can say, okay, it's a 6, 6.5. Put it there and write the number. And then in again, where are you? I serve in church. I do this. I attend life regularly. I really enjoy other believers' company. I think I'm growing in relationship with the church. So you rate yourself again. And then you're out as well. 0 to 10. I have no friends who are born again, so I'm not really doing well that area. Hey, I have friends, but I haven't told them about Jesus. So I have them, but I haven't influenced them. So again, you rate yourself. Right, if you finished, you can share the pen if someone next to you doesn't have a pen. If you don't have a pen, tap someone who's used their pen so that you can share with them. And then I want us to do something very, how do I put it? We don't always do it, but I want you to do this. I want you to turn to 3 people. Now, this is not a competition. All right? So don't avoid Pastor Kev because his app is over there. No, it's not a competition. It's just an authentic conversation about where you are. All right? And then you're going to do 3 things and the service is over. We're going to have a discussion in these 3 areas. Number 1, what is God saying to you about each of your relationships? So both the up, in, and out. All right? So what is God saying to you? As you write that, and I know we haven't had time to reflect on it, but as you write it down, as you think through it, what is God saying to you about up, in, and out? Number 2, what is God asking you to do about it? And I acknowledge that you don't have the time to have thought or even prayed over, but at the surface, God is always speaking, so what could he be asking you to do about it? And then I want you to do something very sweet. I want you to pray for one another. So don't be in a large groups because our time is really gone. So I want you to pray for one another after that. So I'm going to give us some 5 minutes. 5 minutes. What is God saying to you about up and out that you plotted? What is God asking you to do about it? And then how can you pray for one another? Go. 5 marks. You can see some of the groups are done and we've prayed for one another. So we'll pick up the communion elements. As we conclude the time together, here's the thing. When you're working with people in this conversation for discipleship, the goal is not to just have a hangout or a feel-good club and all that. That's part of it. You can eat meals, you can enjoy each other's company, but that's not the end. The idea is, at the end of the day, don't gain the whole one and then lose your soul because you didn't have a relationship with God. And so that's why it's very key to have an up relationship. And then because of what you're doing in up, God does in many ways confirm what you're going to do in and what you're going to do in out. And the reason why we are having this communion, is today is the last day of our prayer and fasting season that we've come from. But then it's also a reminder that God was so keen in having a relationship with you that he gave his life. This cup and this bread represent him giving himself to you. And then he says, do this as often as you can in remembrance of me. And so you're not trying to develop an up relationship with a God who's like this. You're having an up relationship with a God who's like this. Come on, man. Come on, man. And I'm all arms open. Come to me. And so the only thing that is keeping us from having a 10 in up is not because God is not like this. It's because you're like, we really accept me. And so we are having this communion as a reminder that, man, he's accepted you. Do it. And as you grow in your up, man, you're going to see some changes in your in and in your out. It's just like that. And as you work with people, desire to see them grow in their up. Desire to share a verse of scripture with them. Desire to do that. And you're going to just see them changing their walk in their church, changing their walk in how they relate with people outside of church. This is important, guys. This is life. The Bible says, man, the words I speak to you, they are life and their spirit. In other places he says, if your mind is kept on things above, or kept on in the spirit, there is peace and there is life. A song is sung that says, oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, come on, man. And so we can go back there. The only place that is left for people to make a mark is people who are keenly and truly following Jesus. If you try and say, I'm going to make a mark in chasing ladies, there are people who will do it better. And then if you try and say, I'm going to be the best chick with a sponsor, there are people who will beat you at that. Lakini ukisema nitafuata Yesu iwe nini, that's the last place for influence. Come and go do this with us. I can't, I'm following Jesus. And that's not where he's going to. Oh, on the night that Jesus was betrayed, this is the night he was betrayed. This is the night when humanity was at its worst. Oh, I'm trying to let you know that there's nothing you can do that the Lord is saying, Vienako. He's always saying, come. Because the night when humanity, these are the people who Jesus has spent 3 years of his life. The night that Jesus was betrayed, when humanity was at its worst, he gave us a symbol to show us, I'll always welcome you in. I'll always have you. So go back there, develop your app relationship, see what God will do. Now we can do psychology stuff and all those other things. They are good. And maybe it's but kuna uzima kwa neno la Bwana. There is power in this word. There is peace. There is joy. When you read it tomorrow, I don't think you all of a sudden catch it. But as you continue in it, you look back and you say, there is a difference. The book of Malachi says, God will make a distinction. When God distincts, there is no comparison. How come these people of Mavuno Church, how come they are so peaceful in the midst of turmoil? But there's a distinction, and we are distincted in our app relationship. Because sometimes you can come to in, you can go out, but if there's no distinction up there, no one can tell the difference. Oh, the night that Jesus was betrayed, took the bread, took the cup. This is my body. This is my body, beaten, shredded, that you know, that you can be sure of this, your sins are forgiven. David says this, happy is the man whose sins are forgiven. Happy is the man whose Lord is God. Who's your Lord? Because only one can forgive, and that's our God. Could we take up the body together? Likewise, after dinner, I took the cup. This is the blood of the new covenant. Take it as often as you can to call me affectionately into remembrance. Let's take the cup together. Lord, we thank you for what you've been teaching us through this month. We know it's not conversations of men, because otherwise we would have been saying of carnal things in our minds. But it's really just work that only you could have orchestrated, oh God. That we walk with people who walk with people who walk with people. And sometimes that's walking just starts with saying, come to church, come to life group, come to Mizizi, come to Noah, come to Leah. Sometimes that's all we need to start doing, and then our lives multiply from there. So give us the courage to do so. Give the students courage to do so, Lord. We ask that our lives would count for eternity. That in light of eternity, the things we do will count. And so I thank you for everyone who's heard this sermon through this month. Bless each and every one of them. Protect them and their families. Protect their investments, oh God. Let them be prosperous in everything they do, so that their one pursuit will be to pursue you. Yet you've already told us that if we pursue you, if we seek first the kingdom of God and your righteousness, then all these things shall be added unto us. So help us to make you our primary pursuit, oh God. To pursue you with everything we've got. To lay down everything that hinders, and to run with perseverance the race marked out before us, Lord. We ask, we plead, consider us, Lord. We want to be used by you. We want to know you, because those who know their God shall be strong and do exploits. We are called for exploits, Lord. So help us to know you in our app relationship. And help us to work with people and to see the triangle expanding. So at the end of the day, we shall be like Paul, to know Christ and to make him known. We praise you, Lord. And thank you for the season that you've given us, Lord, as we walk into February, as we walk into the rest of the month. We love you, Lord. We honor you. Be praised, be glorified. And all of us say, all of us shouted, amen and amen. Come on, let's celebrate the Lord. Wow. You can stand up on your feet. Kindly do two things. Give both the cups and the pencils and the pen to someone so they can be able to be taken care of. Just one announcement for you to remember. There is Mizizi lunch. Actually, two announcements. There is Mizizi lunch at 1:30. So if you can hang around town and then come for the lunch, as well as if you're new here, we love you and we'd like to welcome you for the luncheon as well. Second thing, next Saturday, that is February 1st, we'll be launching Leah. Now I want to tell you this because I want you to just give me your ear for 1 minute. 1 minute. We're going to be launching Leah at 8:30, but then as that is going on, we want to meet anyone who wants to serve at the Mavuno Kids Ministry. And we'll be meeting you at 9. And it's just a time to get to know, and you could be, I can't teach a child, but if God is calling you and God has been dropping hints for you to be in that ministry, you will find a ministry for you. We need security guards, we need people to do registration, we need people to help out in all the spheres of that ministry. And so if that's God, I feel there are specific people God has been telling. And if he hasn't told you, there's a pull you feel, I want to see whether that can be my ministry. I want to welcome you on Saturday at 9 a.m. Just come and we'll be together as we see what God will do. There's a revival coming, and it's going to come in the children's ministry. I'm inviting you to be part of the next big thing that God is doing. Come on, people. There's a revival, and our children will come and prophesy. I'm inviting you to be among the first recipients of what God is doing in our ministry. And so welcome on Saturday, 9 a.m. to just about 11:30. And so if you have time, kindly pass by. We'll be glad to have you. Stretch forth your hands for these blessings. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious with you and give you peace. In everything that you do, may the Lord show you that he's already deposited enough in you so that you can be an influencer. In Jesus' name we praise and worship. Amen and amen. See you next Sunday.